bifocals.
I'm sorry, but I don't think I heard you correctly.
Crawford Graham sat in the optometrist's chair, not really believing what the doctor had just told him. It was true that he had not been able to see things as clearly as he used to, but he had attributed that to the fact that he was 35 now, and perhaps it was time for glasses. He had not expected to hear the bit of news that the doctor had just delivered.
That's correct, Mr. Graham. You need bifocals,
Dr. Smith told him.
But why?
Crawford asked.
Well, unless you want to just take off the glasses whenever you have to read something, but otherwise it would be the best way to go.
Are my eyes really that bad?
Crawford asked. The doctor pushed his own glasses further up the bridge of his nose and said,
Actually, you should have been wearing glasses a long time ago. Perhaps that would have helped with the headaches.
The headaches had grown steadily worse in the last few weeks. His own private physician had suggested that he had his eyes checked and perhaps something as simple as glasses would help. He had not looked forward to taking pills for something that could be easily fixed. But bifocals?
Why don't you look for a pair of frames and we can get you fixed up,
the doctor said.
Sure,
Crawford muttered. The glasses were ready for him the following week.
There, how do you like that?
The pretty technician asked him.
Yeah, fine,
he told her.
Now the top part will let you see things far away, and the bottom part will help with your reading.
Yeah, that's fine, he told her. Leaving the building, he made his way rather vicariously to his office down the street from the eye doctor's. He marvelled at how clear everything seemed to be, but when he looked down through the bottom part of the glasses, the sidewalk seemed to jump up at him, startling him. Can't look down until I have something to read, he said aloud. It took a little time, but he was able to make it to the office. As one of the wonder kids of Wall Street, his office was immaculate and very comfortable. He had made many deals in this office, many of which had netted him enough money for several lifetimes. He sat at his desk after making his way through the myriad of secretaries who typed up contracts and letters throughout the day. He poured himself into his work, checking figures and watching the computer on his desk for particular stocks that he had invested in. The glasses seemed to be working out pretty good. He breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that it would be several days of getting used to the things, but everything looked very clear, even when he was reading.
Crawford!
His partner Ben Stiles walked in without being announced, a practice which annoyed Crawford.
Hey Ben, what can I do for you?
Crawford asked without looking up from his contract that he was currently working on.
I just wanted to say hi and see what the new you look like,
Ben told him. Crawford looked up, his glasses sliding down, making him look above the rims. Ben smiled and said,
Yeah, looking good, my friend. The ladies are gonna love you.
Sure, Ben, Crawford said.
Listen, I'd like for you to look over this contract when you have the time,
Ben said, laying a folder onto the overly crowded desk. With another sigh, Crawford opened the folder to the stacks of papers. Looking down through the bottom part of his glasses, his eyes widened in surprise. Written in large red letters were the words, "I'm going to kill you."
Is this some kind of sick joke?
Crawford asked, still looking at the words.
What do you mean? It's just a standard contract,
Ben said, a look of concern on his face. Crawford saw the words and noticed that the ink was beginning to run down the page. To his disgust and horror, he realized that it was not ink that he was looking at, but blood. He looked up through the upper lens of his glasses and recoiled in horror. Standing on the other side of the room was a grotesque caricature of his partner and friend, Ben, only now the face was distorted into pure hatred and evil. In his hand he was holding a gun and laughing maniacally, pointing the weapon directly at Crawford's head. He watched in fascination as Ben pulled the trigger, watched as everything slowed down like a movie shown in slow motion. The bullet left the muzzle of the gun in a blaze of fire, travelled across the room and began to penetrate Crawford's right eye. Crawford jumped and flung the glasses onto the desk. He was sweating from the image and shaking. His heart was pumping madly, and he could not control his breathing.
Crawford, you okay?
Ben asked. Crawford looked up and fully expected to see the monster with the gun. Instead, he saw only his friend and partner, a look of concern on his face.
Fine,
Crawford told him.
just a bit of a pain in my head. Maybe you should take the rest of the day off. The new glasses may need some getting used to,
Ben said.
Yes,
Crawford said, picking up the glasses from the desk and standing up. He slowly put them back on, expecting to see the vision of hatred and malice. He only saw what was there, his partner, that same look of concern.
Yes, perhaps you're right,
Crawford said as he headed for the door and the elevator. The doors to the elevator opened. Inside were 3 people from different floors, all of them heading towards the ground level. Crawford was looking down when the elevator arrived on the 22nd floor. When he heard the familiar bell, he looked up through the upper part of his glasses.
No, it can't be,
he muttered. Where he should have seen an elevator, he saw a mangled metal box with 3 bloodied and crushed bodies lying among the wreckage. Looking closer, he thought that he could see himself, his head separated from his body, lying among the debris. He took off the glasses and rubbed his eyes, hard.
Going down?
He looked up and saw the man holding the door open for Crawford. Crawford put the glasses back on and saw the same man lying in the wreckage, blood covering his face, only this time the body was looking up at him and saying in a grotesque, guttural voice,
Going down, sir?
Crawford took off the glasses again and only saw 3 people standing in the elevator, waiting on him. He backed up slowly, not wanting to know, not wanting to see what might happen. The man holding the door open only shrugged and stepped back into the box. The doors to the elevator closed. Crawford stood a moment and then approached the closed doors. He put his ear close to the door, could feel the cool metal against his skin as he pressed against them. For a moment, he could hear nothing but the whine of the machinery as it lowered the elevator car slowly towards the ground floor. He smiled, thinking how foolish it all was. Until he heard a loud snap, the sickening fall, and the awful screams, and finally, the fatal crash, as 3 people were quaintly crushed. He backed away from the door and headed to the stairs. Crawford found himself in the street, looking down at the sidewalk and wondering what it was that he had just witnessed. The whole thing was crazy. He had never believed in second sight or precognition, had never experienced anything that could be considered supernatural. And yet, what did the vision of his partner killing him mean? Was this something that was going to happen in the future? Was his partner going to kill him? This was crazy in itself. There was no reason to kill him. The business was split 50-50, straight down the middle. Everything was crazy. He was looking down at the sidewalk through the bottom part of his bifocals when he saw the line of blood drawn in the shape of an arrow, pointing towards the street. He looked up through the top part and saw the corner where he should be standing, waiting for the bus along with several others. He watched as the bus came barreling down the street at a high rate of speed, out of control. He clearly saw the driver, a look of horror and fright upon his face. The entire scene slowed down, and he watched as the bus ploughed into the people on the corner, killing several instantly. Crawford saw the bus continue its deadly course as it ran into the building on the corner, exploding in a ball of flame. He heard the screams of people inside the bus being burned alive. Crawford removed the glasses and felt like throwing up. He looked around and could see nothing but the city, moving about in its own hectic way. Quickly he walked to the other side of the street, away from what he knew would be a horrific accident. The bus hit 2 minutes later as Crawford watched in fascinated horror.
How was work?
Jenny was waiting for him as Crawford walked into the apartment on the Upper East Side. She was dressed in a dancer's leotard, forming nicely to her body. Crawford was afraid to put on his glasses and look at her. He was afraid of what he might see.
So, lover,
Jenny said as she curled up onto the sofa like a cat.
what do you have in mind?
Crawford had put the glasses back into the case. He just had to know. He took the glasses out and placed them onto his face. Did he really have to know?
I can't do it, Doc. I can't wear them.
The eye doctor was examining Crawford's eyes with a puzzled look.
I kept seeing things that aren't there,
Crawford told him.
When I got home, I saw my wife, and I just couldn't stand it. That is why I'm back here to see you.
Well, Mr. Graham, I guess that I was wrong with my diagnosis. It seems that what you actually need are trifocals.
Crawford slowly went insane. Epilogue. The butler did it.